everyone, and welcome to another episode of the How Long to Beat podcast. I'm your host, Paula, joined as always by Josh over there.
What's up, everybody?
So, today's episode, Paula has had a very busy week, so I haven't finished anything, but Josh has, there's some like very big completions over there, so holy crap. We haven't retired anything this week, which that means we've been like, I don't know, 6 weeks by this point without retiring anything. Is that a new record? I don't know. And then we'll talk about the games that we've been playing. Thankfully, I have been playing something, and I've been playing the hell out of it. And Josh has actually been playing a couple of games too, despite his barrage of completions. And then we are jumping into our discussion topic, the game of the month, Return of the Obra Dinn, which I haven't played, but Josh has quite a lot of things to say about it. And finally, we'll end up with our guessing game. And Josh, just before our recording, has said that he has quite the head scratcher for me. So let's see if it's a bluff or if it's actually like a very hard game.
Yeah, what should it take Paula like 2 seconds to figure it out?
Beautiful. So yeah, let's start with your completions because I see a lot of demos, which I remember you said you were gonna complete on the last Steam Next Fest.
Yes. So after we talked about Next Fest demos, I still had a bunch left over that I downloaded and hadn't had the time to get around playing. So in the last week, I kind of thought, I should actually finish those off. And the downside was that because it's now after Next Fest, about half the demos that I downloaded were no longer active. So I couldn't play them anymore, even though I'd already downloaded them. And, fair enough. I can understand why. Happens. Yeah, and I can understand why that would happen as well, because often I've played demos and kind of complained and said this shouldn't even be a demo because, it's not ready. So I can understand why they might put something up for Next Fest to gain some exposure, but then take it down again because it's not like a proper demo. So that's fair enough. But very quickly, I played a few that overall weren't that good, really. I played a game called Copycat, which is an Australian game and is unfortunately shit. Unfortunately, because I'm Australian and I like all Australian games to be good. But
it's an Australian game.
Yeah, it has potential because you basically play as a cat, and at the very start of the game, you play as an old lady who goes to a shelter and adopts a cat and takes it home. And it seems like it's going for quite a realistic type thing as opposed to Stray, which was very sci-fi and, you're hanging out with robots and things. But this one, you're like, when you initially start, you need to like find somewhere to hide because you're scared of this new house that you're in. And then you need to like explore the house and find food and all this kind of thing while your new owner is out. But, you can choose to like get up to mischief or just kind of, get the lay of the land and figure it out and basically be a cat. Yeah. And it was just it was a nice idea, but everything about it was just a bit undercooked. And I don't know if that's just because it's, obviously maybe it's not ready yet, but the voice acting was a bit not great and the animations were a bit janky and it just felt very undercooked is the best way to say it, I think. However, I played a game called Shapes 2, which is the sequel to Shapes, unsurprisingly. And Shapes I really enjoyed. It's a 2D, basically a very abstract version of Factorio. As in Shapes, you have a central hub and there are different nodes on the map all around the hub, which are basically different shapes. So you've got triangles and circles and squares, and they're your resources. Instead of like iron or copper or stone or something, you've just got shapes.
Okay.
And then you have a bunch of conveyor belts and machines and everything to convert and combine these shapes to get an end result. So at first, you might just need to produce squares. So you go down to your squares, you mine them, put them on a conveyor belt and send it back to your hub. And there you go, you've got your squares. But then it might want you to make rectangles. So you need to put in a machine that cuts the squares in half and then puts it on the conveyor belt and sends it back to your hub. And then you've got rectangles. but then it might want you to do the same with circles, and you might need to cut them in a quarter or something to have a quarter circle or something. But then you might need to combine them both. So you've got like a square with a circle on top kind of thing. So it basically breaks down the whole kind of production line thing into its simplest kind of form, because you've got a bunch of different resources, and through manipulating them and combining them and working with them, you get the end result. And it's just all from a very top-down, black and white perspective, very simple. It's like someone's drawn it almost. It's that kind of basic. That's the first game, Shapes. Shapes 2 is the same thing, except it's all very 3D, and you're in a 3D world and you're doing the same sort of thing. So that allows you to do stuff like build bridges over things, so you can have conveyor belts on top of each other or crossing over each other without interacting with each other. And, you can do stuff in 3-dimensional space. And there's even like ramps where you can like shoot things a certain distance, so it kind of launches it into the air and then catches it on another conveyor belt later on. But ultimately, you're doing the same thing as you were in the first game, just with a 3D environment. And it's a really good upgrade because it's still that same simple abstraction of something like Factorio, where you're building, production lines and automation and all that kind of thing. But it's still sticking with the shapes and the very simplistic, basic abstraction of that idea, which I really like, because I like it when people take something very, very complex and simplify it down to basically almost as far as it can be simplified. But it's still interesting and fun because it still retains the essence of what makes that good. So Shapes 2 was probably the best demo that I did end up playing after all that.
It's kind of interesting because usually when video games were still recently, like after the video game crash, when they were reintroducing like video games to the market, they took like this core and pretty much worked with the core alone. So, but as time passes, that core gets expanded into other things, like with the original Super Mario, for example.
Yeah.
But in this case, it is like the complete opposite. Like they take something that is quite complex and quite beloved, to my understanding, and then they take out the core and try to pretty much condense everything to the minimum possible. So
Pretty
it's
much,
kind of like an interesting case study, like for game
I think
development.
that might be popular these days as well. Like there's a lot of like demakes and stuff. Like there's that Game Boy version of Bloodborne and stuff, and
yeah,
people like to simplify highly complex things. But also I think it appeals to me as well as a ex kind of graphic designer, because graphic design is often about abstracting things as far as you can without losing meaning. So that's what brand logos are all about, and everything is like how simple can I make this without completely destroying the meaning behind it, or what makes it what it is, kind of thing. So I think that's why I like this one in particular, because it very much does that. Even more so than like a demake or a Game Boy version of something or whatever. This is like, no, we're literally reducing all these complex ideas down to simple shapes on your screen, and off you go, kind of thing. So, but it's still, it's still engaging, and it's still complex and enjoyable. So I think that one made it onto my wish list. I played another one called Until Then, which I think I don't really remember very well, so that says a lot about it. But I think it was a visual novel that just was a bit boring. Well, that's what I can't quite remember. Like there was
you can play it like during the week or something.
Yeah, but if it's boring, I only end up playing about 5-10 minutes and then I stop. So,
fair enough.
And then I kind of forget it pretty quickly. Although maybe I should look these up as I go. But so Until Then was kind of a bit boring, I think. Let me just double check. Yeah, it was a visual novel, and it was, I think nice like graphics and stuff. Like they did that whole thing where they've got kind of like a Vanillaware title does with their graphics, like where you've got the 2D sprites but they move on a 3D plane. Like that sort of thing's pretty cool. But ultimately I think the art was just the art was what drew me in, and that kind of animation was cool, but the actual story was like a bit But that's not to diss it or anything, because the art was really cool. And if you watch the trailer, you can see it's actually, it looks pretty good. But it was quite forgettable, but that's also because I didn't really spend much time in it. So, there's that. I tried another one called Odd Sparks and Automation Adventure because, again, I thought, hey, this is like an automation game where you essentially build like it's kind of got like a cutesy kind of cartoony style to it. It's like a isometric kind of city building kind of game, but it's all, again, like Factorio or something. It's trying to get automation going with conveyor belts and machines and production lines and all that kind of thing. And I like that kind of gameplay. So, yeah. But unfortunately, the demo of Odd Sparks, the first like 10, 15 minutes or something has you just kind of walking around talking to people in your village. And it's not that engaging. And I wish they'd just got me building something straight away, but they didn't. Plus, the demo was terrible because it didn't even tell you how to do anything. Like there's no in-game tutorial and stuff, which is fine, but it's kind of jarring when it's not there. So I didn't even know how to move around or anything to begin with because it just didn't tell me. And I was, maybe I was in a bad mood or something, but it just kind of annoyed me. So, it didn't end up going very far with Odd Sparks. One game that was good but just didn't interest me was Mark of the Deep. But this is an isometric kind of dungeon crawler type game. But it's about pirates. So you're cruising through and you're fighting monsters and things, but you're a pirate with a big hook as your weapon. And yeah, it's just really cool kind of cartoony graphics. It's quite moody and there's a lot of atmosphere and it looks like it could be a lot of fun. Not really my kind of game because these games I don't really get into heaps hard, but I'll try it again later when it's done basically because it did feel a bit undercooked, but what was there felt pretty cool and like it's, got the makings of a fun game. Reminded me of same sort of gameplay as something like Torchlight or Diablo or, that kind of loop. So yeah, that was Mark of the Deep. That was the last demo that I played. The rest of them, there was a few others that I was a bit disappointed because I wanted to play, but even like I say, by the time I got to them, I'd run out of, they'd take down the demo. So all I had was a purchase button, not a play button. So, them's the breaks. That's what you get for taking your time. And it's worth playing them when Nextfest is on.
Definitely, because I had the same thing happen to me with most of the other games that I wanted to play. So it's always sad.
You live and you learn. But in other proper gaming news, I 100%ed Red Dead Redemption, the base game. So not only did I 100% the in-game stat, but I did all the trophies except one, which is preventing me from getting my platinum trophy, which I'm annoyed by. But the last trophy I have to get, I think, that is related to the main game is to kill 500 enemies with a mounted gun. And the difficulty of that is that in the base game of Red Dead Redemption, you only ever use a mounted gun during certain campaign missions. And it's very, very difficult to rack up 500 kills because you'd be lucky if you get, a portion of that. And so everything I've read online, because I looked it up just to see, is there an easy way to get this trophy? And they said, do it during Undead Nightmare because there's zombies everywhere and there's so many of them, you can just kind of mow them down. So I'm cool. That's what I'm doing now. Because after 100% of the base game, obviously the version that I've got is the PS4 remaster that's on PS5. And it's got all the DLC and everything, i.e. the Undead Nightmare campaign, which is a whole extra campaign, which is zombie based. So I've started that, but I'll talk about that when I talk about what I've been playing. But the big tick for me this week is that I 100%ed the base game because there are a few difficult things in that. Like there were two trophies which are kind of tied to each other, where one of them is to get chased by US Marshals but escape while riding a certain horse. Because it's called like riding south on a white Bronco or something. And so this particular horse happens to be white. And you get basically the US Marshals are like the highest level of police to chase you. So, in GTA, how you get high enough and the army starts coming after you and stuff and tanks and things. In Red Dead, you eventually get the US Marshals who basically send a posse to come and chase your ass down. And it's not that hard to get away from them, to be fair. They're pretty whatever. But in conjunction with that, there's another trophy for getting a $5,000 bounty and then using a pardon letter to remove your bounty. Because essentially in the game, you can either pay to remove bounties, which, you pay money that's commensurate to the bounty, or if you can get a pardon letter, that's like a get out of jail free card, and you can like loot them from enemies and stuff. and then you can just take that in and it kind of pardons everything you've done without having to spend any money. So I had thankfully racked up a whole bunch of pardon letters that I'd never used because I play as a good guy, so I never get bounties. But to do this achievement, getting $5,000 in a Western economy is really, really hard.
You think so?
If you kill someone, it adds like $10 to your bounty because that's a lot of money in those days. And it took me like, I don't know, I want to say 4 or 5 hours just to rack up $5,000 worth of crimes. And most of that was, again, in the city of Blackwater, which is like the biggest location in the game.
Wait, I just realized because I dissociated for a bit, but you have to make your own head worth that much, pretty much.
Yeah. So you have to commit enough crimes that the bounty on you is worth $5,000.
Beautiful.
But it's really difficult because, put it this way, I'm in Blackwater, which is the biggest city. So you start shooting people and people notice, obviously, and the cops come after you, the sheriffs and everything. So, they all start chasing you, and other people in town who have weapons and stuff will start shooting at you as well because a lot of people have got weapons because they're all cowboys and stuff. And so everyone starts shooting at you and you're running for your life and you're killing everybody else that you can find. And you're killing all the other cops who are coming to get you and stuff. But in a kind of fun way, because it's more realistic, there's a finite number of people and police in each town. So the reason I was doing it in Blackwater, because that's the biggest town, so there's enough people. But once you've killed enough people, there's no one left in the town. And everyone's dead. So you've got to kind of leave, go have a little snooze somewhere else, let time pass, and then it kind of repopulates. Like everyone basically respawns. And then you come back and do the same thing and kill everyone again. And each time it takes maybe, 20 minutes to get through everybody in the town. And then you've got to spend another 10, 15 to just kind of reset everything. And then, start killing again. And so, it ended up taking me a few hours to rack up $5,000 worth. And then the actual getting the achievement was like really, really easy because by that stage, I'd basically killed everyone a number of times. No one could stop me. I was a murdering Terminator of a cowboy, and I jumped on my horse, threw my pardon down so I lost my bounty and escaped from the marshals and got both trophies at the same time. And it was very successful, but a bit of a grind, I have to say. But that kind of gave me my 100% stat as well because I unlocked all the outfits that I needed to unlock, because part of that as well was one of the outfits you have to execute 20 people, which basically means you have to be right next to them when you shoot them, and then you get a little animation where he like shoves the gun right up to their face and like pulls the trigger. And so while I was running around the town killing everybody, I made sure I did that a few times. And yeah, it's kind of a bit weird mopping up open world boxes that you need to tick to get your 100%, but I did it, and I'm happy about that. I just need this. The thing I'm worried about with the last trophy is that I feel like I only need to get this one other trophy to get my platinum, because most of the time platinum trophies are tied to main game trophies, not DLC trophies as well. But they usually distinguish that by putting the DLC trophies in a separate kind of category. Whereas in this one, they've got all the Undead Nightmare trophies in the same category as the main game. So part of me feels like I have to do everything to get the platinum. And I'm enjoying myself, so I'm going to. I've already started doing the Undead Nightmare stuff, but I'll talk about that later. Anyway, I'm crapping on for way too long here. I also played a few short games. I played a hidden object game called Looking for Aliens, which was not short. It actually ended up taking me about 10 hours or so to get through. But it's the kind of game...
10 hours.
It's like a hidden object game, so I don't know if it was 10 specifically, but it was, a lot. Maybe 8 or 9.
Me. Like, you started this like on this very week. You didn't talk about this like last week.
Yeah, no, this was new to me. Like, I got it in a bundle or something, I want to say, earlier this week. And so, but because it's a hidden object game, it's the kind of game that you can play while doing other stuff. Yeah, I spent 11.7 hours in it, according to Steam. So there you go. But it's a very, very good hidden object game. In fact, it's probably one of the best ones I've played in a long time, because it's one of the ones where you're not looking for this, like in some of the hidden cat games and stuff, you just got to find cats on the map. and that's about as simple hard as it gets. Whereas this one, there's on every map there's a collector card, which is just a very, very, very hidden object that you have to find, and it's the kind of game where you can open up boxes and stuff, or you can open up doors and look inside houses, and you can open windows and that kind of stuff. You can rotate things so that you can see behind them, that sort of stuff, and that's what makes it really good. So for any fans of hidden object games, I would say looking for aliens is definitely one that should be on your radar, because it was also like $4 at the moment because it's on sale, and I got like 12 hours out of it. So, as far as I'm concerned, that's a win. But the maps, there's like 25 levels or something, and they all range from like really small kind of locations to really actually quite large and complex and busy locations. Like there's some locations which are entire cities and towns, and then space stations and all this kind of weird stuff. But it's also got a funny story, because every level you load up, there's like a little intro by these aliens who are talking about, there's a light story about how aliens kind of live on the Earth anyway, but they disguise themselves in different ways. But it gets a bit wacky and weird towards the end. So it's kind of an interesting bit of narrative as well to make it a bit more fun. But yeah, definitely a good hidden object game, like really, really good one, I would say. I also played a short visual novel, I want to say, called Looking Up, I See Only a Ceiling. And this one was interesting. It took me about 30 minutes and I got like 100% complete. Like I did 3 endings. So, not long. But I liked it because it kind of dips its toe into that kind of psychological interpretation of mental illness into a game kind of game, where you play through a game, but not everything is as it seems. And by the time you get to the end and you get like the secret ending and stuff and all this kind of thing, you realize actually maybe none of it is as it seems, but your character is kind of dealing with their own depression or, anxiety or whatever it is that they're dealing with. And I like those sorts of games. I think they're a fun kind of way of discussing these sorts of things, or portraying how one person, i.e. the developer, has experienced these sorts of experiences. So Looking Up, I See Only a Ceiling, I think I picked it up for like $2, which is why I played it. But yeah, it was a good time. It was better than I thought it would be, because the art style is a bit like anime and not exciting in my world. But yeah, it was good. And equally, the last game that I finished this week was a game called Alt Frequencies, which again I picked up really cheap. And it's essentially a game where you listen to all you've got in the game is a radio, and you can listen to radio frequencies with like, it's all pre-recorded voice acted stuff on different channels. So there's like a news channel where there's a guy reading news. There's a talkback channel where there's a dude running a talkback show. There's like a dance kind of cool channel where there's like a couple of young people, young DJs who are playing like happy music and, not paying attention to the world. And then there's like weird pirate radio stations and stuff, which you have to decode and things. So this one's kind of like a puzzle adventure kind of game where you listen to these radio stations and you have the ability to record parts of what are being said on the station. And then you can play those back and send them in to other stations. So there are fun stuff you can do where you can record bits from, say, one station and then take it to the talkback station and play it back to them, and they think it's a caller calling in and saying whatever it is that you recorded. So you can record some weird stuff and it trips them out and they all react to it and go, well, that's weird, and what the hell are you doing sending me this crap, and blah, blah, blah. But there's this whole story going on about, in the world, there's the government are kind of like quite authoritarian, and they're trying to implement a thing called the loop, which is their solution to climate change and all this kind of stuff. Is they're going to put everyone in at least the country, if not the world. I don't think it's the world, but it's like, I think it's the UK or Europe maybe, but they're going to make put everyone on this time loop. So essentially, everyone kind of resets after a week or a day or however long. Part of the debate is about how long it is. But so that you can just keep repeating the same kind of part of life and let everything else kind of catch up and let ecology kind of take over again. And it's a weird kind of concept, but it's kind of interesting because it's like this sci-fi kind of thing where you're then trying to subvert the government through this pirate station that you find, and they get you to like record things and, send in hidden information to the news channel so that they end up broadcasting stuff about the government that's not positive. And you start decoding other radio stations by playing signals, like just random noises that you've recorded from other stations. And it decodes this hidden station so that you can hear the secret messages that are being hidden on the airways and, all this kind of stuff. And yeah, but it's really good. And perhaps one of the better games I played this week as well, because the story was just really, really cool. It was really engaging. And by the time I got to the end, I was like, wow, that was really fun. I'm glad. I like how it resolved and everything. And again, you can kind of choose how it resolves one way or the other. And it's up to you to kind of determine whether you support or don't the whole concept of this whole time loopy thing. And yeah, it's very cool and very worth looking at. And again, cheap, because I think I picked it up for a few bucks as well in the spring sale on Steam. So, that's always a good thing. But that's it. That's all I've been playing. Well, all I finished. So I haven't retired anything, of course, as Paula said at the top. But Paula, tell us about your continued adventures and what you've been playing recently.
Okay, so I've only been playing 2 games recently, mainly because classes came back and they came back with a vengeance. So I kind of had like this readjusting period because I had to wake up at 5 a.m. once again, which I wasn't really used to for the last couple of months because vacations. So yeah, the first game that I've been playing continuously is Terraria. So I only played like a session of this game this week, and our main mission was to trigger like a couple of special events, which, curiously enough, they didn't have their own achievements. So first of all, we triggered a first one because my boyfriend said like there were like very cool items that could be dropped by some of the mobs over there, especially like the Ice Queen. I think she had like some pretty good drops. So we managed to summon it, and it came like by waves in a way, and it was pretty useless. Like, holy crap, we battled a whole lot of enemies. Especially like the Christmas trees were kind of tough. The mechanical Santa robots were tough too. The Christmas gnomes in their helicopters, or like elves, sorry, the elves in their helicopters were more annoying than anything else. And then you have the Ice Queen, which we defeated 2 of those in one night, and we barely got any drops. Like, we killed so many enemies. We were like from the start of like the in-game night to the dawn of the day of the in-game 2, to the dawn of the game 2, and we didn't get like a single good drop. At most, we got like an elf hat and like a couple of useless items, and we were quite disappointed, really. So then we started like saying like, hey, we could trigger like I don't know if it's the actual name of the thing, but the pumpkin moon, sorry. Because one of the armor pieces that one of the full sets of armor that was very good for a summoner was the spooky armor. And for those, you have to kill an enemy called the Morning Wood. Pretty funny there. And those like 3 like smaller enemies that drop like the spooky wood. So we went on our hunt over there. We triggered 1 pumpkin moon, which, by the way, you need like 30 pumpkins to make like the thing, and you needed like a couple of other items, but we had those items or materials. One of them being ectoplasm, and the other I think was some kind of metal. But the hollow bars. So yeah, we summoned the spooky night event, and killed once again hordes and hordes of enemies left and right. And I didn't make it any better because since I was like doing something like in the other side of the map, while waited for it to be night, I drank a battle potion just before the event. The battle potion increases the spawn rate of enemies. So yeah. So at the end of the night, we had about 470 pieces of spooky wood, besides other, a bit not as useful as we wish. Definitely like more useful things than the one we got from the first moon event. You know what? That amount of wood that we got was enough for 2 pieces of the 3 pieces of armor. So I still need to get the third, like 300 wood for the third piece, so I can get like the bonus set. Because this particular set is slightly better than the Tiki armor that I have. The Tiki armor has like is more summon damage. Each piece gives you an extra summon slot, and the whole set gives you like one more slot. And it has a pretty decent defense. And also it gives you it gives your main weapon, which is usually a whip, because that's the summoner item of excellence, some extra damage as well. So the spooky armor, in the other hand, it gives you more defense, and I think it gives you like the same amount of extra summon slots, and it gives you like more summon damage, which is kind of nice. I still kind of I get less damage from the whip, but I still get more armor, so it's kind of like a good trade-off, I think. And also I got a drop of some kind of parchment or something like that, or a divine scroll or something like that. I don't know. The thing is that item gives me one more summon slot. So we still need to look for another specific item to like mix them together and make like a super item.
Nice.
After all that, we were making like a teleporter to the jungle. Because the witch doctor, one of the NPCs, sells like a cool item for summoners at night, as long as his house is on the jungle. So we're pretty much like making a teleporter to the jungle, so we can have like a small base over there and have the witch doctor be like happy. And what's the deal with the dogs? God damn it! So yeah, the witch doctor we need to bring to the jungle, but for that we need a base. And so we don't take for fucking ever to get there. We are making a teleporter all the way there.
Nice.
Which is kind of nice, because since we've been making like doing a lot of events and pretty much like defeating or farming very strong enemies, we have like a surplus of money, which, holy crap, it really feels nice to have money in the game. Because you can do like so much crazy stuff with it. Like you can buy a lot of stuff like from the NPCs that are at the base. So yeah, I still don't know how to make the NPCs happier, because there's an achievement that is like make an NPC as happy as they can be. I'm pretty sure like the demolisher guy, it's already like pretty happy, because he wanted a house with no one else around, because he wanted like to do crazy experiments with explosives. So I made like a staircase to heaven, built a cloud, and put a house on top of that, and that's his house pretty much. And I don't know what else he wants. I don't know how to make him happier. I bought like pretty much every chance I get, like I don't know, 200 to 300 bombs like on a single sitting. So I don't know how to make him happier. Like you cannot give things to the NPCs. Maybe it's like the way the house is. I don't know. I have to do further research on that.
Is it far enough away?
Yeah, it's far enough away, because I talked to him and he's like, "Hey, I can do crazy shit without blowing anyone up." So
Cool.
So yeah, I think he's happier. I don't know if I have to make him like a house in a very desolate place. Maybe that's the thing. I'm gonna have to investigate further. Anyway, the other game that I've been playing, and I've been playing a lot of, because holy crap, it's quite addictive in a way. But also, like I have had like time to play by myself. because my boyfriend has been playing like other games. We haven't been playing Terraria as much. So I went and continued playing Plague Inc.
Nice.
So last time I was like, well, fuck viruses because they're kind of like hard to maneuver with. And at the end of the day, it wasn't as hard to win as a virus as I thought. So on my next round, I got the virus victory trophy.
Nice.
And also I got the trophy for Olympic spoiler. That says help the Olympics go viral.
Nice.
So beautiful. I tried my hand at being a fungi. So the thing with fungi is that you can either like augment like the not contagiousness, but you get it, like the infection rate between humans or like between other animals and stuff like that. But also you can just pay for infecting a country you haven't already been to. So I did a lot of that early on, and I ran out of slots. And as always, Greenland was the last man standing. Oh no, sorry, because I said fuck you, Greenland, and Greenland was like, but I didn't do anything this time. I saw it was like, sorry, first of all, fuck you, Iceland. So it was Iceland, the one that I missed that time. Another round, another victory. I got the fungus victory. Fungus was kind of interesting, mainly because of how it really traveled a lot by spores.
Yep.
So you had to like improve the spores, both the spores and the ability to jump from human to human. Then we went to one of my favorites, the Nerex worm.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's kind of interesting because this thing kind of like parasites the brain of its host and can, to some extent, control what they're doing. So one of the things, there was like an update called like a Trojan plane or something like that, when it gives you like at a certain time intervals, it gives you like the chance to literally send a plane from the first country you infected to pretty much anywhere else in the world. So of course, the first chance I got, I sent a plane to Greenland. There was like a slight misplay here because neither Greenland nor West Africa, that was the place where I began at, didn't. Neither of those had an airport. So of course, someone said like, "Hey, this is fishy," and they grabbed the guy who crash landed in Greenland, and it was like, "Yeah, this is a virus." So of course, humans try to find a cure like very quickly. Oh, and also there's another update that makes humans do stupid shit when you send them out on planes or something like that. So they grow more impulsive and do stupid stuff. So, and in fact, the human pretty much made a power plant in Canada explode. So I got the achievement Stalker's Delight. Humanity found a cure on that round. So, second round of the neural worm, I played it way safer. I didn't try to send planes where from our two places where planes weren't supposed to be sent. So that time I didn't get found out like so early. I infected everyone and anyone, and then become deadly and kill everyone. That was my modus operandi.
I just like how that's the thing that gives away that there's like mind controlling parasites, is that people rock up on a plane to somewhere that doesn't have an airport.
Yeah.
Imagine that happening in the real world. It's like everyone's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, that was stupid. So I mean, it kind of makes sense that people were like, "Okay, was this guy on drugs or what the fuck?"
Yeah, totally.
So they dropped him. They dropped him and were like, "Okay, dude, what do you have in your blood?" Oh shit, there's a virus. So yeah. Then I went to via Parasite. A Parasite the Parasite route kind of felt a lot closer to the original 3 in terms of what it could and could not do. And so on the round 1, I was found out and cured early. And in the round 2, I eradicated humans and got the Parasite victory. Not much to say there. I think they could have done a lot more with the Parasite, but well, no. There's a lot of plagues in this game. Not all of them can be like out of this world. I also got the Prion, which I didn't quite get what was the difference because I only like played around and somehow won. So the modus operandi was kind of like more or less in line with what you've grown accustomed to. The necrovirus, though, that's a different story. So first of all, I didn't quite get what the necrovirus was, so I tried pretty much to play it safe and try to play it as a normal virus. So first round, I got found out early, and the cure developed like incredibly fast. Then the coronavirus round 2 ended up in the same way, and I was like, okay, what the fuck happened here? The coronavirus round 3, something interesting happened. So I was on my way to affecting the world, and somehow like Canada, I don't know what the fuck happened in Canada. That's I got like a notification saying that they executed the infected people to contain the illness.
Cool.
And that just shook me to like I didn't know things like that could happen in Plague Inc.
Yeah.
And also it was like from all countries, why Canada? But anyway.
Those bloodthirsty Canadians.
So yeah, like I was still wondering like how the fuck they cured it so fast. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll go to play something else. And it was like, hey, no, I actually want to know what the hell is this? So I went to Reddit, and yeah, of course you get found out fast. This is supposed to be the zombie illness. So the thing is that the modus operandi here is that you have to first of all just evolve like the different like animal infection rates so they can be carriers and introduce more mutations. And then you evolve the thing that gives you more mutations, and then you hope to God that you get like a lot of mutations towards the zombification of your sick people. And, and once you get there, once you get to this zombification of sick people, they cannot cure zombies. So zombies are immune to the cure. Let me repeat that. Zombies are immune to the cure. So that's why I was getting found out so fast, because you are not supposed to fight the cure. You're supposed to zombify people as fast as possible. So the fun thing here is that you start like gaining control over the zombies. So you can like move them around different places. You can try to destroy bases and stuff like that. And you can like move them like trying to take over different countries, even though their frontiers are closed. So at that point, I finished like putting zombies on every single country, and then like turned the infection rates up to 11 and let nature take its course. So I got the achievement, The Glorious Death, many tries after.
Nice.
Then I got the nanovirus, and the thing is that in this one, since it's kind of like a little machine that escaped a laboratory and started infecting people, humans try to patch the thing so it stops spreading illnesses. So you have to patch the patches so you don't get patched and you can kill people. It was quite an easy one, so I got the nanovirus victory in the first round.
Cool.
Then I got the bioweapon, and the thing about this one is that okay. So the lethality of the virus increases over time. So you have to try to infect more people than the virus kills. Like you're not, you're even given the choice of evolving things to make it less lethal early on, so you don't kill all the host. Which, by the way, it happened to me that I killed all the host in the first round. So, but in the second round, I got it. I got it done. So yeah.
Cool.
Then, holy crap! This is at that point. I was like, okay, I think this I already seen like the most difficult the game has to offer. That was the zombie thing, but no. Then we have the simian flu. The fun thing about the simian flu,
the ape one,
the ape one, yeah. The fun thing about the ape one is that you're managing two things. So as I said previously, like the necrovirus, once you make zombies, they cannot cure them anymore. So you can win with only zombies. It is not the same case for the simian flu. So you have to have the smart apes, and you have to have the illness. So the illness kills the humans, and the apes come out on top and pretty much conquer the world. So a lot of things happened in the many rounds of this that I did, because it was very, very difficult. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to be doing first. So it turns out the thing that is like advice for you to do first is to free the apes and try to at the very least, try to make it so the humans don't get like the mutation for the virus that makes them smarter. Because if you get like to the fourth update of that one, you get the virus to be like super lethal, because it's like the brain goes beyond capacities and just shuts down. But up until the third upgrade, you're pretty much shooting yourself in the foot. So first of all, you have to make the apes escape, make them establish colonies, and try to make them more proficient at combating humans. And then start pretty much destroying every laboratory under the sun while you infect other people, command more apes, and pretty much like micromanage the hell out of this one. So some of the things that I kind of got like from the achievements was the great escape, like the great escape.
The puns are strong.
Yeah. The family future established colonies, ghost simian faces, destroy lab. The traveler, because you can move the apes from one country to another, either like the lone apes that are in a country, or like the colonies that you have established. Which comes to the next one, which is evacuate, because humans will send drones to your bases. So if you notice them like early enough, you can make your apes go to another country and avoid the attack.
Nice.
Exterminate, because you make humans so scared of the apes that they want to exterminate the apes. I also accidentally got the Red Ape Redemption, because I got the apes to be able to ride horses to move faster.
Nice.
And finally, apes will rise, because I destroyed humanity. It took me many attempts. Like I was like very close to giving up and leaving it at that before recording, but I pulled through. So just before the recording, I was actually playing as the final plague of the game. And if I said any of the previous ones were difficult, holy shit, buckle up for this one. Because being a vampire in this modern day and age is actually quite difficult. So first of all, the thing that I try to do is try to like have the vampire like live in a country and then spread the disease from there and do stuff with the disease itself. No, do not do that. Bad idea. Don't. Because that way, not only humanity gets more aware of you as a vampire killing people and this illness being a thing, but they also kind of like know more precisely where you are in a way.
Yep.
Or like are more aware of you, because you can get upgrades as a vampire to make your kings like more stealthy, I guess, but I still think if you kill an entire country, some people will be suspicious of you.
Quite possibly, yeah.
So there's a lot of things you can do as a vampire. So you can set up a vampire lair where you can like recover faster whenever you're hurt. You can also like research like a thing to turn into a bat and fly to another country. Or you can research blood rate, which gives you like makes you a better hunter pretty much. And when you're in a blood rage, you actually can kill a lot of people very quickly, and also get a lot of DNA points that way. And you will need a lot of those in this run. Trust me on that. And also, when you're a vampire, there are a lot of things you have to kind of like maneuver through. Because first of all, there are Templars in this day and age. So if you do your vampire things like and are like way too conspicuous, the Templars are gonna come after your ass, and they'll send planes to bomb your layers. So you have to be careful about that because you don't want to waste too many DNA points early on making the layers, only for them to be destroyed. You want to spend your early game like trying to wrap up DNA points to make you a more effective hunter, and then go destroy the hell out of those Templars. Or at least that's the plan I got for my little vampire. But I just kept dying at destroying all the Templars. Like somehow, like I think it took me way too long to start hunting them, and then I got distracted with other things. So the last phase of the Templars was kind of like the end of me, but literally. So yeah, you have to be careful of the Templars, but you also have to be careful of the cure. So you don't not only are able to spread illness after researching the illness very much, you have to be careful because then some laboratory is going to start researching the cure, and they're like extremely quickly about it. So you have to go and destroy those labs too. So of course you don't want to do vampire stuff and do the illness thing at the same time, because then you have to destroy Templar bases and laboratories, and that's pretty much impossible, and I do not recommend it to anyone. So yeah, funnily enough, like I don't know if it has like an actual reason, or it's just because it's therapeutic or cathartic to some people. But every guide I found about being a vampire is to have you start on Greenland and pretty much kill everyone on Greenland, then go to Iceland, and kill everyone until the Templars appear and you go kill the Templars. And then you have to run a stupid amount of DNA to evolve the virus and have it like so evolved that the cure cannot do anything at this point, but you still need to fight the cure a little bit. So yeah, that is hopefully the thing that I'm gonna do for next week.
I love that Greenland becomes the answer.
Right? I love that so much. Like I'm pretty sure like I maybe it's because it has like the right amount of people. Like there's enough people for you to grind a lot of DNA points early on, but it's not too much that you cannot do it before the Templars appear. So maybe that's why. But in my mind, it's just a vengeance spree against Greenland. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I love how Plague Inc. manages to, with all the fictional things like zombies and apes and all that, they've managed to really add a lot of variety into the game. Because I think you mentioned when you got to the parasite or something, it felt like very similar to the other diseases and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, different disease like viruses and fungi and all that spread differently, but they all are diseases that spread. So yeah, having those extra things like. I never played it where there was vampires, but I remember the zombies being really hard to control and figure out because they were just so different from everything else.
Yeah.
That's
Though
good.
between, I think my favorite is the one that controls people, because it's the one that had the funniest events, or like the most what the
Yeah.
fuck events from Canada, pretty much killing its own people, to a crazy person being the reason of they discovering the parasite, and then another crazy person like making uh, energy uh, an energy center explode and decimate like half Canadians again. I don't know, like that particular disease, I swear it has something against Canada. So
Or
yeah,
Canada.
for Canada, it doesn't deserve the fate Greenland does. If anyone from Greenland is listening, this is I swear I'm sure you're wonderful people that have like probably like a very good healthcare, or at least a prevention system. I'm sure, but that's exactly what fucks over all my playthroughs on playing. Like I swear, like 70% of my playthrough has been destroyed by Greenland closing its borders.
Too
Like yeah,
strong,
more
too
power
strong.
to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, what have you been playing, Josh?
Well, I guess, yeah, I've been playing, like I mentioned before, Undead Nightmare, which is the zombie campaign for Red Dead Redemption. And I've mentioned it before, and I was talking to Paula before we started recording, but Red Dead Redemption, the first game in the series, oh, it's not the first game because there's Red Dead Revolver, but whatever, you know what I mean. It's not Red Dead Redemption 2. So Red Dead Redemption kind of has a number of endings, or what I consider to be endings. Like there's the main campaign that you play, and that kind of resolves, and that kind of, the game feels like it's ended there. And then another section after that, it keeps going, but you get to another point where you feel like, okay, the game's ended there, but it doesn't. And you keep playing, and then you get to another point, and then the game actually ends, and you get credits, and it's, ended. So Undead Nightmare kind of inserts itself in after the quote unquote first ending. So it kind of takes you back in time a bit if you've already finished that. And it kind of kicks off basically, you wake up and there's zombies, and it's very quick to get into it. And you basically track down other characters who are in the world and stuff who start going, oh yeah, zombies are coming, and blah blah blah. And so the whole game map has been taken over by zombies, and it's up to you, of course, as the hero, to save the day and get it sort of run out and save everybody from the zombies. So there's a lot of kind of boring missions in my view, because every town has a infected stat kind of thing. So if you defeat enough zombies in a town, it kind of like makes it not infected for a while. But then after a while, those zombies will come back and, infect everyone again. So then you have to go back and like not infect it for a while, and so on and so forth. And there's even an achievement for like having every town on the map, I think, uninfected at the same time, because it's a bit of one of those like juggling things where you have to kind of focus and go do every single town all at once, just to kind of, get it all happening at once, but it never lasts forever as well. So yeah, I think I'm like 4 or 5 missions into the Undead Nightmare campaign. And there's missions like where you have to go to a graveyard and cleanse the graveyard by like burning everything and killing all the zombies who are there. And then there's like a big boss zombie that you have to defeat. And the annoying part of it is that after playing through the game and like 100%ing everything and unlocking everything, playing Undead Nightmare kind of throws you back to the beginning as far as your capabilities. So you start off with like a gun, and you've just been playing with like 30 guns. So it feels like you're a bit limited. And then as you play through, you quickly unlock new guns and all that kind of thing, so you can get bigger and better as you go. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's just a bit annoying because it kind of resets all your progress, and you're like, oh, but that's okay because it's a separate thing anyway. But yeah, I plan to finish that because I'm more just being a completionist about it, because I've played this before. This is all a replay, so I just want to get the trophies on my PlayStation, and yeah, that's pretty much the only reason I'm doing it. So because the Undead Nightmare campaign is fun, but not really inspired, I'd say. Like it's pretty repetitive, I would say, because it's kind of a case of kill a lot of zombies, go somewhere else, kill a lot of zombies, go somewhere else, kill a lot of zombies, and so on and so forth. And it's cool though, because things like you can headshot them and you'll kill them in one shot. But if you don't headshot them, if you just like body shot them or whatever, you'll have to shoot them a whole lot to take them out. Speaking of taking out, Paula is currently killing things on her end.
Sorry, there was a huge mosquito over here.
Yeah, get rid of
So I heard it buzzing and I saw it and it was like behind me. And it was like, okay, you fucker, you're gonna die.
it.
And
Awesome.
so it did.
So yeah, that's Undead Nightmare. I don't really have heaps to say about it. It's a cool zombie mode for Red Dead Redemption. If you haven't played it, it is worth playing. I think you get it if you have a newer version of the game. It like comes with it, so no drama. But yeah, it can be a bit repetitive is kind of where I'm at with it at the moment, but we'll see when I finish it. I also continue playing Virtuaverse, which I mentioned before, which is a cyberpunky, futuristic, synthwavy point and click. It's getting heaps good. It's just getting better and better. Last time I wasn't sure where the story was going because it starts off where you're like a hacker dude and you wake up and your girlfriend's missing, so you go looking for her and you point and click puzzle your way to finding her. And then you find out that she's a member of some hacker group who are essentially trying to save the world, because the overall story is that the powers that be, the government or whoever, are implementing a thing called permanent, I think they call it like permanent reality or something, but that's just like a name. It's basically these chips that get implanted in your head so that you always see augmented reality, as if you're always wearing like, a VR headset or something. So you see the world, but the world is like covered in VR stuff, like projections and holograms and things. So you see advertising everywhere, and people can even look a bit different because they might have an avatar that covers themselves and all that kind of stuff. So your character has just a headset. They don't have the chip implanted. So throughout the game, you can turn on and off your augmented reality. So there's funny parts where you'll like be talking to someone who you're trying to like convince to help you out or something, and then you'll turn and they look like a certain way, and then you turn off your AR and they'll look completely different because it was just a projection, and you're like, hey, you're actually some old dude or whatever, and I'm going to change how I deal with you now because I know that you're not, tougher than maybe you looked. But the story gets really good after you meet up with your girlfriend and you kind of meet up with her group of hackers and stuff, and you essentially try to save the world and prevent this whole permanent reality thing from happening so that, people don't have to get implanted with this AR bullshit and have to always see this augmented reality. So, of course, the way you do that is very convoluted, and you end up going to like some jungle place to find this code necromancer kind of dude who has the source code for the augmented reality system. But then you meet like this priest who's a priest of the old code, which is like the internet as it is now, like in IRL. And so they've got like old versions of the internet that you can use, which is, funky and classic and retro. And you end up going to meet actual technomancers who are like magic, but network people, like technological wizards, I want to say. You go to like a missile base under the ocean, which has this really cool part of the game actually, because like you're point and clicking the whole way, which is, you're 2D moving around a space. But then it does that thing where it kind of gives you some different kind of controls and a different kind of interface where you're on an ocean and you're trying to find a secret base under the ocean. So you're on a boat that top down, you can kind of move yourself around the map and you see things under the water as you move around. And then once you find something you want to check out, you kind of stop there, you get into your submarine and you go underwater. And then you start exploring underwater by like clicking around and moving your submarine around. And so like in this one instance, you find this underground base and you kind of get your submarine in there and you go inside, and then you can start walking around again and looking at stuff and doing typical point and click stuff. But then you need to kind of go explore some more. So you jump back in your sub and on your ship and you're cruising around the map and stuff. And it's just cool how they change stuff up like that. I always appreciate that kind of thing. But I think I'm basically at the end, or I'm definitely in the end game, because I've concocted a thing with my hackers and the technomancers, and I've found the source code for the whole system. So now the plan is, well, without spoiling too much, you end up playing as your girlfriend and yourself, and you kind of, the whole point of this underwater base is that it's like a missile silo. So you're going to shoot a missile at this satellite space station that is feeding all this kind of control to the Earth. Meanwhile, our main guy is going to the space station to sabotage it and, basically install some malware and kick off like a DDoS attack on the entire world kind of thing.
Oh, no.
So it's this whole wacky kind of plan, but it's really good. Like the story is really cool. And one thing that might put off a lot of people is it is dialogue heavy. Like you spend a lot of time just reading dialogue because there's a lot of exposition, there's a lot of conversations, there's a lot of talking about this and that and what you need to do and blah, blah, blah. It's very good. Like I think it's well written and it's, interesting. But there are times where I'm just like, wow, this person has a lot to say. And I'm the kind of person who will ask about everything if I have the option. And I'll go through the entire dialogue tree if I can. And sometimes I've been talking to someone just for like half an hour straight. And then I'll move on to the next person and talk to them for like 20 minutes. So, it's not very action heavy, but it's still very, very good. And, the soundtrack's good. The graphics are good. The entire theming is good. So it never feels like it's, as much as it's a lot of reading, I don't mind that so much because I don't mind that. But I can see why some people would if you can't concentrate very long or you find it hard to like read dialogue for long periods of time, it could be a bit off-putting. But you can skip through it all if you want to, but again, I'm not that kind of person. I tend to read everything if it's there to be read. So but yeah, I think I'm right at the end. This time next week, I think I should be finished. So I hope I'll be finished. But I'll have more to say then. But other than that, it's getting better and better, and I can't wait to save the world, essentially.
Very nice. It's kind of funny. You're saving the world, and I'm destroying the world.
Yeah.
We have a dichotomy over here.
Well, and it's the kind of thing that I could see being put into Plague Inc. of like a kind of mind-controlled chip. It's almost like the nanobot kind of thing, but it's more from an authoritarian kind of point of view. And yeah. And you can because the whole way of combating it is very, they talk about, because it's set in the future, so they talk about using different protocols and stuff, and they mention IP version 7, which obviously is not around yet.
It's supposed to be for a long while because holy crap, IP version 6 is already we already have a stupid amount of IP addresses without using.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Most things still use version 4, but 6 exists. It's just not very utilized yet. And but they're talking about in their world in another 100, 200 years, version 7 is the go. And they talk about bandwidth, and I forget what the word was, but it was something like a quintisyllabite or something. Instead of
terabytes are too small by those worlds.
Yeah, instead of a terabyte or even a petabyte, which is a real thing, but they've taken it up a few notches then again. And so yeah, there's all that kind of stuff which is fun because it's all very one of the reasons you have to talk to the technomancers is because they can help you manage the network when you attack it with your DDoS attack. So because they're tech wizards. But it's cool with all that. I like that kind of sci-fi, and I like that kind of stuff where it's kind of seated in reality, but it's totally off the wall and crazy. So
yeah, definitely. Though I have to say, how technology always advances so fast. I got to use pen drives that were megabytes in size. And now you have these micro SD things that are tiny, that are like a terabyte.
Yep. Yeah, I used to use floppy disks that were 400K, or I think, I don't know, someone else could tell me, but 5.25 inch disks, I think, were 350 kilobytes, maybe.
I mean, I've seen some that were 250.
Yeah, I know. I remember the smaller 1.5 inch, or not 1.5, but 3.5, I think, inch floppies, the hard plastic ones.
Oh, you were talking about the real floppy disk, the big floppy disk.
The big black ones, yeah.
Yeah.
That are actually floppy, yeah. No, the little hard ones were
I didn't get
1.4 meg,
those,
I think, on average. Used so many of them, those little floppies back in the day. Let's not reminisce for another week. You know, we can only be so old. But yeah, that's all I've been playing. I've been playing other stuff as well, but nothing really to write home about. So, you know, I don't need to crap on about stuff I've already mentioned. But yeah, one thing that I don't think you've played, Paula, but I have played a long time ago, was the game of the month, which I'm very pleased to say or see was Return of the Obra Dinn. What do you know about this game, even if you haven't played it?
Okay, first of all, this is a game that I really, really, really want to play, but the one thing keeping me from playing, well, actually two things that are keeping me from playing it. First of all, I do not own the game yet. And second of all, it is a first-person game, for fuck's sake, sorry. But each time I see a game that is a first person, I die a little inside because I cannot play it comfortably. Though, to my knowledge, I could play very comfortably if I take it really slow. So that gives me hope. Still, I know that of the Obra Dinn is a game made by the same developer of Papers, Please, which makes me very happy because I adore Papers, Please. Glory to Tosca, sorry.
Yeah, it's Lucas Pope who made Papers, Please and Return of the Obra Dinn.
And also the way the graphics are handled is very interesting because everything is black and white, and it's managed in such a way that I don't know, it is beautiful. And the funny thing is that it might look to you or to anyone who's playing that there's actually gray on this game, because of, I don't know, it looks like granulated. The words of the chip look a little bit granulated and stuff like that. But no, that's just black pigment spread in a different manner. So they managed to make such a interested and detailed game with such a minimalistic style, and they made the most out of it. It kind of reminds me of. So I've been watching an anime called 16-Bit Sensation, and it's about this girl who likes to work on video games, but she always get the boring stuff to do in the art department, and she draw fucking time, and she sees firsthand the limitations of the hardware when they can only show a finite amount of colors. So let's say 8 or 16 in the first episode, because she goes very far back in time, and they do this little almost cheats to get more colors out of their limited pigments, where you separate the pixels in a different way to give you the illusion that more colors are being used. So Return to the Obra Dinn actually does very little and smart things like that. And the other thing that I kind of know of is that you're solving some kind of mystery. And if I remember correctly, you can try to solve or try to guess the mystery in a way at any point in time. So it's not let's say the Ace Attorney games where you're kind of forced in a way to get all the evidence before you can move forward, or it's not like the room games where you're forced to get again, you're forced to get the evidence even though it's not as linear as the Ace Attorney games in order to get the ending of the game. Return of the Obra Dinn is okay, you think you got it? Give it a try. That's all I know about the game.
Yeah, that's kind of true, but not entirely. So
I see.
You can't just, as far as I know, you can't. I don't think you can just start the game and finish it straight away if you know what's happening, because you essentially have to witness things in order to solve them.
Yeah.
So the way you witness them is kind of fed to you in a linear kind of fashion. But you're right. The art style is obviously, I think, one of the first things that people would ever notice about this game, because as soon as you look at it, you're like, oh, it's very striking. And and like I say, there's two colors. It's black and white, or shades of that. You can change the colors in the game to different color palettes. Oh. So the default isn't black and white. It's a dark green and white and a creamy white. but it's
Yeah, it's
still
not like
two colors.
yeah.
Yeah. And you can change that as well. You can make it like pink, you can make it blue, whatever kind of suits your eyes, really. And it's kind of reminiscent of old, like, I want to say like early Apple Macintosh computers, which had these sorts of graphics. But obviously this is a modern day game, so the graphics are way more complex. And like you say, I think they have so much more detail and everything than the same sort of thing would have had back in the day.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, I think Lucas Pope actually has made a couple of other just little games that you can get on his website, which are in the style of old Macintosh computers, like Mac 1s and things. And so he's kind of a fan of that kind of style anyway. But yeah, it's very, very cool. And what you're saying about how they get grays and stuff, to me as an artist, it just makes me think of sketching and doing different shading and that kind of thing, like doing some cross hatching or using some lines or, just pointillism or whatever to kind of change gradients and things where even though you're only using two colors, you kind of use different versions of shading and stuff to kind of give that impression of different shades and that sort of thing.
And also like the way you do like the cross hatching or what kind of shading you do also may or may not make the item, for example, that you're drawing make more three-dimensional in a way, or
exactly
more rounded if you're shading a sphere, for example.
Well, and for anyone who isn't aware, who hasn't played it as well, I have. And so the basic premise of the game is you start off and you're climbing onto this ship called the Obra Dinn, and you have a book with you, which is like central to the whole thing. And the book is initially blank, but as you play through the game, you fill it out and you kind of figure out the story of what happened to the Obra Dinn, as in this ship, because this ship went off to explore somewhere. It's like set in, I want to say, back in the day, like when people were still exploring the world and, hadn't discovered everything. So this ship went out and was lost at sea, but then kind of showed up back at the harbor again, and everyone on board is dead or missing. And so it's up to you as you're basically playing an insurance investigator who is trying to figure out what happened to the ship. And then, at the end of the game, you kind of, based on what you find, you make a recommendation about what happened, and you kind of talk about the actual story of the Obra Dinn. So the way that happens, though, is you have this compass looking, or pocket watch kind of looking device where you get on the ship and you find a body, like a dead body, and by using your compass, it kind of transports you to the moment when that person was killed. So you end up with a scene which is like that person, and maybe at the very, very beginning, the first body you find is kind of just on deck and it's just bones and everything, but you use your compass to kind of go back to the moment when that person died, and you notice that behind them, someone's shooting them with a gun. So once you've discovered that body in your book, a page will appear and you can say, okay, this person was shot with a gun by that other person, but you don't really know who that other person is yet, and you don't even know who the dead body is yet because maybe you don't have their name or something. But as you kind of transport back to the moment when they were killed, you get like an audio soundtrack of the moment when they're killed as well, which gives you lots of clues and stuff. So like the first time you do it, you can hear them arguing and then the gun going off and the dude dying. And then it kind of plants you in that moment when the dude dies. And you've got some time to kind of look around and move around and stuff to see what's happening and who's there and all that kind of thing. And the other thing you have in the book is a picture of like a group photograph of everyone who was on the ship. So part of figuring out who everyone is by seeing them in these moments and going, oh, that guy's got a distinct like tattoo or something, finding them on the picture and going, oh, that's who it is. And then even on the picture, like there's lots of clues on where people are standing and stuff as to what their rank is on the ship. Yeah. And there are some passengers as well who are not workers on the ship. There's a whole lot of like, really low level kind of workers on the ship who live down in the depths of the hull. So you're going through finding different dead bodies essentially, and then figuring out how they died. And by doing that, you figure out the entire story of what happened to the Obra Dinn, and you're essentially going through it backwards because the first body you find is the last one who got killed. And after you've found that body and you've seen the scene, then you come back to being on the ship, and another body will appear because that's the next one to kind of look at. And so you can then move through and then look at that body, but that happened before the other one you looked at. So you're kind of going back in time as you explore the ship and find more bodies and determine how they died.
It's
And
kind
that's
of
the basic premise.
Yeah, the mechanic of looking through the eyes of the victim and their last moments, it reminds me of Ace Attorney Spirit of Justice, because
Right.
they use that mechanic in some of the trials. Like, you're supposed to be like in a different country from the usual Ace Attorney games, where for the I guess for the cases, one of the things that people do there is that they call like I don't remember the actual name or profession of the person who's the dancer, but they are that dancer, and then they do like the spirit channel thing while dancing, and they project into a pool of water like the last
Right.
moments of the victim. And it was like the things the victim saw and the things the victim heard. So it has kind of like the same vibe in a way, where you see their last moments, you see how they die, but you do not know who did it. You only have clues to it. So in a way, Return of the Obra Dinn is like an extended version of that, where it's not like a mechanic to find out. It is the main mechanic of how you explore each of uh, the people's last moments, and then you
Yeah.
tie everything together with the evidence on the chip.
Yeah, pretty much. And it gets way more complex as you head further into the game. Because like the first few bodies you find are pretty linear, where the first one you find, you can hear two people arguing and then a gunshot. And then when you're planted in the scene, there's a dude holding a gun pointing at the guy who just died, and he's just shot it. So you're like, okay, this guy killed that guy. Easy peasy. And then the next one you go, okay, that guy killed that guy, because you've heard that they're arguing again, they fight, and, you know, when you see the scene, it's very obvious that, okay, this guy killed this guy. And even when they're talking, they call each other things like I think it's the first one or the second one, I can't remember which, but one of them is the captain of the ship. So when they're arguing, you hear one of them go, I'm going to kill you, captain, bang, or something like that, you know. So it's very easy to figure out, okay, so the guy who died is the captain, and the guy who killed him, you know, says his own name or something, so you can kind of figure out what his name was. But then when you get further into the game, there's all these things that happen, and they're kind of supernatural as well, and things like there's a whole bunch of stuff that's you can't just figure out with logic because it's kind of weird and wonderful, and it's a cool story. But you have to start listening to like people's accents to figure out what nationality they might be, because there's like a whole lot of Asians on board. There's a whole lot of like French people or Portuguese people, or, you know, there's people of different races and languages and stuff. There's Russians and things. And as you explore through the ship, and there's quite a lot to explore, and there's like, you know, I want to say like 100 people on the ship that you've got to kind of determine who each one is. But it could be as simple as, like, I think at one point there's 4 guys playing cards you know, in one of the on one of the decks of the ship, and they're all speaking Russian. So you've got to kind of figure out, okay, who are the Russians? And you've got like a manifest of who was on the ship, so you can kind of pick out the Russian names and see that, okay, they were all the engineers or something. So then you can kind of go, okay, so those guys in those uniforms are engineers. So this other guy who's wearing the same uniform must be the other engineer who's unaccounted for, and that kind of thing. So it gets super, super complex and very, very challenging towards the end. Like there are some real head scratchers about, you know, who's who and what happened to certain people and all that kind of thing. And while some things are fairly obvious, there's some which are like, you've really got to think way outside the box to try and like figure out who's who. Even down to there's like some characters that you never actually see, but you might go past a bunk where they're asleep in a scene, and each bunk has a number. So you might see their foot sticking out of underneath a blanket or something, and that's all you see of that character. So you've got to kind of tie in the number of their bunk with who's missing and try and figure out, oh, that must be that guy. And then kind of tie him in, figure out what his story was, even just because all you've seen is he's asleep on a bunk bed. And yeah, it's really cool in that way. And I think that's kind of like, it's a proper detective kind of game where you have to figure stuff out and like use clues to infer results and all that kind of thing. And one of the ways that it keeps things interesting, which I noticed a few people had mentioned in the thread and on the forum, was you don't get confirmation that you've solved anything until you've solved 3 things in a row.
Oh.
So you basically, the whole idea is in your book you're writing down this person, so you've got to identify the person, how they died, and who killed them.
Yeah.
So once you've done those 3 bits of data, that's like one thing that you've solved. But that can be difficult because, in the first instance you might go, okay, so this is the captain and the captain's name is whatever, so that's who it is. And they were definitely shot because I can see the dude with the gun shooting them by the dude with the gun, who I know is like the first mate or whatever. So, okay, he's solved. But then, like I was saying, the dude who's asleep in his bunk and you never actually see him die, it's like, well, who is he? How did he die? And who killed him? And the who killed him could be he went missing, or he was killed by a beast, or, some other kind of unknown entity, or, there's a whole lot of options which are not necessarily obvious either.
Yeah.
And so it gets really, really complex and really, really confusing. But the good thing is when you're filling out these solutions, you tend to take notes of a lot of things all at once. So you're slowly building up your book of records, but you don't get them confirmed. So you might say, okay, I know who this is, how they got killed, and by who, but you might have got it wrong. And you might fill out, say, 3 or 4 of them before it actually triggers and then confirms that, okay, yes, you got these right, because you have to get 3 right before it tells you that they're correct. So if you mess up one of them, you might think you've got 3 correct, but it doesn't tell you anything, so you know one of them is wrong.
But you don't know which one.
You don't know which one, but you might get then a 4th that is correct. And so of the 4, 3 of them are correct, so it'll tell you which ones are correct, and you can go, okay, that other one must be wrong. So now I can go fix that. And it's a really good way of not just letting you randomize it, because if you just randomly choose solutions for everything, you're never going to know if it's correct or not. And it'll be very hard because you've got to get 3 at a time correct instead of just 1. So it kind of stops you just randomly clicking on things and makes you actually think about what you're doing and what the answers are, and essentially, get it right and actually play the game instead of just randomly clicking shit. So, but it deserves all the praise it ever gets, I think. And it's nice to see. I was looking at the forums and the Discord thread earlier, and it seems that everyone's enjoyed it and can appreciate why it's got the reputation it has and such a positive kind of reception. And people have been doing a lot better with it than I think I did, because I found it really, really difficult. Whereas I think a couple of people who played it in the community have said, wow, all right, I'm done. I've done everything. It's all good. And I'm just like, oh, I thought it was heaps more difficult than that. But, that's cool. That's what I mean. It depends how your brain works or how you connect things together. But, yeah, bloody good game. It's so good.
To be fair, we've been working on that Moon Lake for a while with the Cubescape games and all those other older point and clicks that you played. So our logic might be a little skewed here.
Well, I played this one a while ago. I can't.
Oh, right. You didn't play it recently.
Yeah, I haven't
Sorry,
played it.
Sorry, I tried defending you. I got nothing.
No, I appreciate it. But no, I haven't played this for a long time, so I can't claim that I've been distracted or anything. And when I did play it, it's kind of all I played. It's one of those games that once you start, all you want to do is keep going and trying different things and finding different things. And yeah. And that's what I mean. As you uncover the story as well, I think the story is interesting as well, and interesting enough to kind of keep you on the hook, which is good because you're not just solving puzzles. You want to kind of discover the mystery of the story, because there's a bit of a mystery to it. And like I say, it's a bit kind of supernatural and stuff as well. So there's, fantasy and interesting things involved as well, which is always cool. But yeah, I'm so glad this was Game of the Month, because I think it's one of those games where you're like, yeah, this definitely deserves to be Game of the Month, and to be highlighted in that sense, like this is a classic of its time kind of thing. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I do think, Paula, you will enjoy it one day when you do play it, because
I really wish to play it now because it sounds so cool. But anyway.
Well, I think it'll be, right up your alley. So
another one to the wish list backlog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There are plenty of those. But yeah, speaking of games, I'm going to quiz you on a game that may or may not be obvious. I'm kind of hoping it's not. I don't think it is, but we'll see.
Okay.
Let's see how we go. I'll warn you straight up, actually. Yeah, these comments are not super specific, but after looking through your list and just randomizing games, and I got through about 20 that had no comments, I kind of landed on this one because it has comments.
I'm sorry, but not sorry.
No, it's good. It shows you're playing a lot of unknown, obscure stuff, which is cool. But yeah. All right. Main story. This is quite a lengthy game. And yeah, so this main story completion took this person 19 hours and 7 minutes.
Okay.
And their comment, which will tell you a lot, is one route, love ending until credits.
Route, love ending, until credits.
Mm-hmm.
It says like love ending with caps, like, or like.
It's just.
Is it the name of the ending, or do they love the ending?
I don't know, actually. That's a good question. I'm going to copy and paste you exactly how it's written into our chat. Because, yeah, it's not like capitalized. But I don't know if it's saying the love ending or I loved the ending.
One route to love ending until credits. You said it's 20 hours.
Yeah, 19 hours and 7 minutes for this person. I will tell you that when you played it, you took 22 hours and 58 minutes.
Is it one of the psychedelica games? Maybe. No, that would be like a true ending.
It's the kind of game where you're going to have to be super specific because I don't know it.
Okay, is it Psychedelica of the Asian Hawk?
No.
Psychedelica of the Black Butterfly?
No, okay, yeah, it doesn't have that in its title, the first part.
Okay, you say it's 20 hours. Fuck. Sorry, did I disconnect something? I did disconnect something. Give me a minute. I dropped something and I went to grab it and I fuck everything up, so. Is it Steins Gate 0?
It is not. But I'll say you've definitely figured out the genre.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Okay, because Code Realize is about 13 hours long, so I don't think it's that one. Color Mollies is also on the shorter side. Like, this is the exact same reason I'm having so much trouble designing like for a game, for the guessing game. Whenever I win, because visual novels are not short. But also like
this one especially is not short, yeah.
It's not Olympia Soare, is it?
No.
Is it the first Steins Gate?
No.
Okay, let me like narrow down my mind a little bit because okay, it says, let me read that comment again. One route love ending until credits. Specifically a love ending. Oh, is it Cupid Parasite?
It is not.
Because there are some games that do have like a friendship. For fuck's sake. Like there are games that have like specifically like a friendship ending and a love ending. Is it Variable Barricade?
It is.
Yeah, I knew it has to be like something like that because it was the name of the ending. Cupid Parasite, Variable Barricade and Cupid Parasite has kind of like the love and friendship endings.
Well, there's another comment on the main plus which says love endings and truth end.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, that the average for main story on that is why I was thinking it was long, is 32 hours. Even though you finished it like, you finished it like 10 hours earlier.
Yeah, though it actually, let me look it up because it really depends on what people count as main story.
Yeah, I mean the longest time that has a comment is 59 hours for completionist. Someone else spent 75 hours, so it's potentially very, very long.
Yeah. Wait, I did give it like a 6 out of 10. It's not like a bad game, but it's not especially like my cup of tea. I mean,
you must have been super excited.
I mean, it was a fun. It was a very fun playthrough. But one of the routes really left me with a very bad taste in my mouth. And it was also like the last one, so I guess that muddied my enjoyment of the whole thing a little bit. But I did enjoy two of the routes in particular, one being Nayuta's, because, well, actually, someone commented on Twitter, like today, and I actually commented back. So let me get you the comment because it's actually really funny. It says, "Don't trust them unless you love tsundere girls. Do it for Hibari's happiness." Hibari is the name of the protagonist, and she's the rare case of a boy's protagonist. And she is like very uptight and very. She's like ladylike, but she is also like kind of prickly. And there's like things that things. She's often in situations out of her own control, and that is very fun. It says there's also a handsome butler, which by the way doesn't have a route. A very cheesy chef, sad guy with sugar daddies, guy who dresses like a rebel kid, and the energetic house pet. The energetic house pet is like actually like the thing about this game is that, well, it has some similarities with Cupid Parasite, where the four guys in this game are kind of like hot messes. So they're pathetic to a fault. And they're picked to be like that way to create like very funny scenarios. And to some extent, one of them, the only redeeming quality that he has is that he can cook very good food. And that's about it for me. And his route has a very trickiness into some people, so that is the one route that kind of like messed everything up. On the other hand, it's more grounded in a way because it doesn't have like a supernatural thing like Cupid Parasite. But in my opinion, like some people say that this one is has a more organic feeling on the comedy part than Cupid Parasite. But in my opinion, Cupid Parasite like knocks it out of the park because it goes a step further and doesn't take itself seriously at all. And it uses like the fact that the protagonist is Cupid herself to the advantage, and like just it's just a piece of art. Like it like can be comedies part of Tomagin's Cupid Parasite. Like it's my favorite comedy over there. But anyway,
nice.
I had to squeeze a little rant about Tomagins. I'm sorry.
No, that's cool. That's what I mean. I wasn't sure if you'd get it off that clue because it didn't seem to give a lot, but you definitely got there and you got 3 points, and that takes you to 13 to my 8. So we're still, keeping it real. But yeah, well done. Congratulations.
I did it. If I get a lot of points, maybe I'll be able to get you to play another game of my liking. Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm here for it. And it may happen indeed.
So yeah, that's everything we got today for you lovely folks listening to us. If you're still listening to us, goofing around and talking about games, well, thank you very much. We would not be here without you, and actually we are quite impressed that around 50 people each week listen to these couple of fools just talk about games.
Yeah.
And talk about things like how old we feel at this point, because holy crap,
yeah. I don't want to do that too much.
Yeah,
otherwise I'll just get depressed.
Let's keep that to a minimum and for our mental health. But we can talk about games. Anyway, as always, thank you for listening. Leave us a comment. Talk to us in the forums, on the comments below, on our mail, or where else? On Discord. So yeah, bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening. See you next time.
Bye. What's the deal with the dogs, Goddammit?